We're about to have an interesting conversation. You have been thinking about it for a very long time. Rent, rent, rent. What goes into it? What am I supposed to know as a tenant? What is the landlord supposed to do for me as a tenant? The landlord, at what level can you go with maybe charging or the rent that you're asking the tenant to pay? The other issues too in the house, what the rent controls department's role is in all these and all that. But in studio is the head of PR and senior rent officer for the Rent Control Department Ghana, Emmanuel Posu, who is joining us in studio for us to discuss this thing extensively. And I'm sure, Nana, we've been talking about it a lot more in the newsroom and even on the set. Because not long ago, we saw something on social media that is trending that reduce rent charges or reduce rent fees and all that. But today we are in studio to have conversations on that. You can join us with your suggestions, your messages, and your comments.
Your questions as
exactly.
well.
Via our WhatsApp line 0204447033 is going to be posted on the screens, and you can see that. But you're welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great.
Yeah, doing great. First of all, let's understand the role of the rent control department.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, as a department, we basically dwell on laws to do our work. What I mean is that we act on the Act 220, which is the Rent Act. And when you look under Section 5 of the Act, it has spelled out all the functions that the department vis-a-vis the officer must follow to administer its functions. The first on the list is what we call an assessment. That assessment is where the officer will go into the premises and ascertain how much, we call it recoverable rent, how much rent the tenants must pay. But this must come on an application. The application can come from a landlord or a tenant or anybody interested in the property. So when the application is made to the department, the officer will then go and ascertain how much recoverable rent, as we call it. It's just the amount the tenant pay, how much he has to pay. And the very few clarification. What goes into the assessment, key is the value of the land on which the property has been built.
Okay.
And then the materials that has been used. So in going further, you could see that there's the same structure of a building. It's on different premises. Let me cite an example. You go to Tesano and you go to Cantonment. You don't expect that the same structure will value the same as far as the rent is concerned. Because when it comes to the value of the land, it varies. Okay? So people notion that, no, I went and rent a single room or two-bedroom at this suburb, and the price is so huge. What goes into it, key is the value of the land. So let me finish with the function. Second on the list, as far as our function is concerned, is that we are also mandated to make sure that tenants, landlords, or anybody interested in any property abide by our rules and regulations. So when you are reported to us, our duty is to investigate whatever allegation has been put on you, and if it goes contrary to the act, we then process you before the magistrate. We don't have power to impose any punishment or fine on you. We work hand in hand with who we call the rent magistrate. They are just the district judges. So we prepare our recommendation and give it. So they have right to punish you or impose any fine on you. We also have right to do what we call an abscondant process. An abscondant in our law is somebody who has rented somebody's property. The time has reached or the time has not reached, and the person has run away, basically. So when it comes to that, you, the landlord, has no right to force and break into the property or the premises and then just pack the things out. When you do that and the tenant comes and they say, no, I've lost my good, it will be lying on you to
But
pay.
in this case that I've been asking the tenant to move out for a very long time, you're not paying your rent for, say, 3 to 4 months. You are in the room. I've come to report to rent control. Rent control has served this individual a letter or has come there to inspect. And maybe I can't even go to the extent of threatening him or her with the police. What am I supposed to do as the landlord?
Okay, so the issue is that you cannot take the law into your own hands. There are laid down procedures, and you cannot forcefully eject any tenant from your property. No matter how offensive, no matter how, whatever the person has done, you cannot forcefully. What any offense committed by any tenant, you need to follow the due process. So this as conduct process is what I'm preaching now, that if the person has run away, and you even know that the person has run away, you don't have right to break into the property and park his things out and recover your possession. What you need to do is to report either to the magistrate or to the rent control department. We have a form which we will paste in front of the premises for 14 days. After the 14 days and the person does not appear, what is on the notice is we are inviting the person to our office. That an allegation has been made that he has run away, he or she has run away, and that he is owing so much or something. After the 14 days, if he or she does not appear, we move to the magistrate and ask permission, and the magistrate as a judge will give us that order to force and open the place. Okay, so these are the process. And even after that, we give you the belongings to keep safe for another period.
You mean the landlord has
to keep it for a period.
Wow.
Okay.
You've taken
after
my
that period
to find a storehouse for your belongings.
Can you imagine?
You know, this is why any business you want to venture into, know the rules and regulations surrounding them.
Wow.
Okay. So that if you go and do something contrary to our laws, the person that is owing you so much, then you put yourself in trouble rather. So these are the laid down procedures. And just as I said, after you keep safe for a period of another 14 days, and the person still does not appear, we go to the magistrate again and ask the magistrate what we should do with the belongings. So it's the discretion of the magistrate who will determine that no, because of the nature of the items, sell them in a way of optioning. Then if there's any money that has to be given to you, to be given to you, the rest will be asked to pay into the consolidated fund. Or based on the nature of the items, the judge will decide that no, send it to an SOS village or any orphanage. So these are some of the processes. You ask of an inspection. The inspection, as I said, is on an application. Okay, we can come and then see the deterioration of a property as a tenant. Probably you paid for a rent. You realize that a month or two, the thing has started deteriorating. You can apply for this inspection. We will come and look at it. Based on that, we will determine that no, because of the nature of the property, we will slash the rent down for it to compensate you for the period that you stay in the property until you vacate from the place. So these are some of the functions we perform as a rent control.
Before we go on to other functions or other demands that may be made by either tenants or landlords or landladies, I just want to know where you draw your authority from. And I'm asking legal, where you draw your authority from, and are you a department of an organization, institution? Are you autonomous? Are you government servanted?
Okay, so we are a government institution, a government department. We are under the Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources currently. We draw our power from the Rent Act 1963, Act 220, together with the Rent Control Law 1986. We are trying to consolidate these two acts so that we can have one strong act. We are in a review process to consolidate and then include these recent housing issues. You know, the act was passed in 1963. Very archaic. We are suffering in maintaining it because there are new things that are involved currently. So we are currently we are meeting stakeholders to involve current situations so that we can have a very strong act or law that will govern the rental industry in the country.
And this act empowers you to do what exactly? You've given some explanation, but basically it's to act as an arbiter between tenants and property owners.
Exactly, and not just that. Just as I mentioned, we have right to do certain things, but at the end of the day, when it comes to enforcement, we liaise with the magistrate, that's the district court, who has to enforce any fine or any punishment on any tenant or landlord who has offended our laws.
But this tonight, you made mention of the fact that you'd have to go get order from the court before you can remove a tenant's properties from his or her room, and also keep it for some time and all that.
Yeah.
What is the duration? Because I know people dealing with such issues may have said, oh, I have been at rent control for the past 3 months, I have been going and coming for 4 months, 6 months, and nothing has been done about it.
Okay, so we have some guidelines as far as our LI is concerned. We sit on average of 2 sittings to make a determination. What that means is that when we are summoned before us, we do an initial investigation. If the need arises for us to make a determination on that day, we do. If there's a need for us to get people to come and testify, or we need some document to aid us to do the adjudication, we then have to adjourn the sitting to another day. Sometimes the sittings may take some time because of the nature of the case, but we take an average of 2 sittings. The duration about the abscondant, that one is specific in the LI. What that means is that the first 14 days is for the notice. After the 14 days, and we ask, the permission from the magistrate does not take time. When we get the permission, we then come together with you to break into the property. We want you to witness. We then list all the items and give you a copy and keep our copy. Then we leave the items with you. It will also take another 14 days. If the person does not appear, then we move. So roughly within a month, as far as the abscondant case is concerned, we should be able to solve it. But when it comes to the normal adjudication, like a tenant is owing you, with the law frowns on that, no tenant has right to owe you more than a month's rent. So people stay 6 months, 3 months, just having sympathy on the tenant. But when you do that, you are punishing yourself, because when it comes to the legal process, it's not just one time. You come to the office and then we have to come in and then issue or recommend an eviction. After a month, you should start the recovery process, so that if you take another month, within 2 months, you should be able to get your property. But sometimes the tenant will come pleading. You give them 1 month, you give them 6 months, some to the extent of 1 year, still owing you. Then when you realize that no, they are just lying to you, now before you come before us, now you spend a year already. Now before we have to start the process, because at the end of the day, the relationship is between you and the tenant in your home. We are there just trying to solve your problem. Until any of you report the case to us, we cannot come to your premises and ask how you are faring.
What are some of the key issues you do receive?
Some of the reports that you get.
Yes.
Okay, so the key amount or the highest now is tenant owing landlords.
Wow.
So there are a lot of landlords who have brought tenants into our offices for recovery of possession. Just as I mentioned, you have no right as a tenant to owe a landlord more than a month's rent. So if you owe a landlord, you know, some of them, that's their business. That's where they get their income. So if you accumulate their rent for a period of time, they get fed up and bring. So the key is landlord bringing tenants into our offices for recovery of possession. Second on the list is that, you know, we've realized that the economic situation is affecting everybody. Not only tenants, but landlords as well. You go into a property, you see that property is not completed. So the landlord will propose that bring your money, let me complete it, so that you use it to dwell in. Sometimes when they do that, sometimes when they do that, and some landlords with the greediness, I have to be fair, they've seen that the property has been improved. Now they start doing what we call inducement. They want to induce you so that they'll push you out. And then refund your money to you, because somebody is standing behind him with a higher rent.
Exactly.
Okay, so they try to push it, but there are rules on that game as well. The law has specified what should be done. That if you invest in somebody's property and your time has not reached, and there's the need for us to move out, there's this compensation that should be added to the money you've spent. Okay, so landlords, some of them think, no, let me just give you your money and move out. There's a compensation that has to be paid. And the law specifies that we have to look at the commercial interest rate to be added to the money that is left to be given. So what I'm saying is that apart from the landlord bringing tenant into our home, there are a lot of tenants also bringing landlord for a refund of rent advance. Okay, rent advance can come. There's one instance I've just mentioned. Another instance that you've paid rent, maybe your work is taking you to another jurisdiction. You cannot stay here and be transporting yourself up and down. You need to recover the rent advance that you've given out so that you can go and rent another place out. The inducement I've mentioned. Tenants are bringing landlord for inducing them. Just about this scenario. Because there are so many greedy landlords.
Yeah.
I have to be frank. They are very greedy. In the sense that you've paid money, when you were needing the money, you came to me, I've paid you the rent advance. Just 1 or 2 months after, you realize that you can get more than what I've paid to you.
Yeah.
So you start doing things that you say, no, if you can't,
leave.
Move out. It will just go and get somebody's money and then prepare it for you so that when you move out. So that inducement, there's punishment on it. As I said in our laws, when you induce tenant, if he or she's time has not reached, and you induce him to move out and it's reported, we'll do an investigation and put you before the magistrate for any punishment.
I'm enjoying the conversation.
Exactly, I have to. The number of messages coming in, I'll be putting some of the questions they are sending to us, but just a quick one from me. What does the law say on rent advance? And how are we enforcing this?
I know of a landlord who said, oh, yeah, you pay 2.5.
What is the half doing there?
2.5 years.
Okay, so this issue has come out for a very long time.
Yeah.
There are 2 categories of tenancies. We have short tenancy and long tenancy.
Okay.
Under Section 25 of the Act, of which we are to use, it spells out or it defines what the short tenancy and the long tenancy
is.
The short tenancy are tenancies that don't go beyond 6 months.
Okay.
So 6 months and below are short tenancy. And under that section, the law demands that the landlord has no right to demand more than 2 months rent advance if it's a short tenancy. The underlying word there is demand. I will come back. If it comes to the long term, that goes beyond 6 months. It can span from 1 year, 2 years, 5 years and above. But when it comes to the rent advance payment, the law says that the landlord has no right to demand more than 6 months rent advance. Under that act or section, there's nothing that forbids the landlord from collecting more than 6 months rent advance. The law says you should not demand. So if I'm a tenant and I come that I have 1 year, at that point, it's not you who have demanded it. I'm willing, because of the nature of my work, I'm willing to give you 1 year or 2 years. So a lot of landlords are bypassing this and doing this. At the end of the day, if you know a landlord who has committed that offense, you need to provide us with evidence. Because when you were negotiating, we were not there. And we cannot be policemen or judges or complainant at the same time. One person has to report, then we do our investigation. So we've also seen that there is a gap. If I have not demanded and you have opted to give me, what shows that it wasn't you? So as I said, we are reviewing the act now. We want to make it a point that whether you demand or you receive above the threshold, then you committed an offense. So we are pushing that the law will go so that we will bridge that gap. So this is the issue about the rent advance. The underlying word is not to demand from the landlord, but the tenant has right to offer. Okay.
So I just want to look at your jurisdiction. Are you also superintending or supervising the real estates, Airbnb, or is just those of us who have some coins to rent some single room in some congested community somewhere?
And also to add, the shops.
Exactly.
There is this tenant. I'm a tenant of this shop. And all those things. You have supervision about all these places.
Okay, you see, we have so many laws in the country. When it comes to hostels, these Airbnb, and then the hotels, it falls under the tourism industry. And there's a tourism act, 817 or so. It was passed in 2011. They deal with the hostels, Airbnb, because they see those things as tourism.
Yeah.
But just we will have a stakeholder engagement with them. There are some gaps.
Right.
In a case example is how the hostels are charging. This does not fall.
So you mean the
within
hotels?
The hostels.
Hostels.
Oh, hostels.
Along
Yeah.
our schools.
Hostels.
Oh, okay.
And even the Airbnb.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way they charge, some of them are beyond imagination.
They're exorbitant.
But that does not fall under the tourism industry. So there should be this collaboration between our office, who is mandated to come out with this recoverable rent, and then we'll liaise with them and see how we can manage those industries, the Airbnb, hostel in particular, because we've had instances where students have been crying, especially private hostels. They've been crying about the huge rent that they are being asked to pay. So we are working on those things.
What we ask the shops?
Yeah, the shops specifically falls under us.
Oh,
it's
really?
just like the premises. We categorize them as premises, both domestic. So in the law, we have domestic and non-domestic. So non-domestic are the commercial ventures, which are the stores, and then those offices that people rent.
So you do get complaints from that place too?
Yes.
What are some of the complaints?
No, they just like the normal one, the normal dwelling place. Somebody has paid so much rent, he has to move out because the place is not conducive. You need to refund the money. And there are a lot of shop owners who are also owing landlords. So because you cannot take the law into your own hands, you need to report for us to.
Interesting. All right, let's get into some of the messages. This one says, "Hi, my name is Nee from Sprintex. I have a landlord who is extorting electricity bills from me, taking 100 cedis a week, and he and his wife prevent me from sleeping by making noise behind my window because I'm not yielding to his extortion. I've reported him to the police and they say that's his habit. He does that to frustrate the tenants so they will leave and then the cycle continues with the next unsuspecting tenants. What do I do now?" So this is the inducement you were talking about.
This is the inducement, and the act of the landlord is criminal as well. You know, electricity and water bill, those utilities are not your generation. You are not the one who generates them. The government has subsidized those things for everybody. And if you are part of the premises or the people in the house, when the bills come, it's your duty to show the bill to everybody who is consuming it. You cannot hide it under your bed, and you will determine how much anybody should pay. So the tenant should report to the nearest rent control office, because this is not a police case. It's not a criminal issue. So you should report to the nearest rent control office.
You have what you do about it.
Exactly. We've been dealing with such things.
Right. But the tenant also has the option of securing a meter for themselves?
No, it's the responsibility of the landlord. Because at the end of the day, meters are not to be moved from one point to the other. It's not a car that you can move from the other. It's the responsibility of the landlord to acquire meters. So the landlord can opt that, no, I want to give meter to every room. Okay, if the funds is there. And if it's not there, using 1 meter, you should be fair in distributing how much has come as a bill.
Right. Okay. Good morning. There's a leakage in the roofing sheet and I fix it as a tenant, or the water closets. Okay, so you're asking if there is a leakage in the roofing sheet and you fix it as a tenant, or the water closet gets spoiled and you fix it. Am I to bear that cost as a tenant, or the landlord will have to bear the cost? Carried from Oyarifa.
Yes, so there are, the maintenance distribution is clarified that if it comes to internal maintenance, because you, the tenant, used it, you have to maintain it. When you come and the water closet is fine, and maybe your children or you yourself accidentally you destroy it, it's your responsibility. But when it comes to external, like the roofing, it's an external something. It's not the tenant who maybe have jumped in onto the roofing and has caused damage. Maybe your carpenter or your artisan who didn't do his work well. So it's your responsibility as a landlord. And you, the tenant, has no right to use your own power to fix anything when it comes to the external one. When you want to do anything, the landlord must give you a written consent, not even a verbal one. A written consent.
Yes,
so at the end of the day, exactly. At the end of the day, if he has to pay you or he has to add it to your rent, then there's a written consent. But when you use your own power to do it, the law allows you But what the law also says is that whatever you've done without the written consent of the landlord, when you are moving out, you can take it away. But taking it away, you make sure that you maintain the place as you came to meet it.
Right.
Okay? It could be an instance that no, the thing is there and the landlord is, you've reported severally, and the landlord is not adhering to your complaint. Then you can quickly move to us, and then we invite the landlord and make sure that we put right things at there. But you cannot put that you came and you saw tiles, but because of the dust, you want to convert it to, you came to see carpet.
Yeah.
Now you want to convert it to tiles. You cannot do it without the written consent of the landlord. When you do it, fine. For your safety, you want to do it. But at the end of the day, when you are moving out, restore my carpet for me, and then you can go away.
Really?
Yeah.
When the tenant has made it beautiful, the tenant can actually destroy it.
Without my consent, if you feel like removing it, I'm not giving. I don't have money
to pay for it.
To pay for it. And this is the condition of the premises as you came. If you don't like it, you go somewhere else.
So you leave it in the state you found it.
Exactly. If you want to renovate or modify it at your expense, and you are going and voluntarily you want to leave it for me, fine.
So what
By
if,
the end of the day, you have to take whatever you've done.
So what if the tenant says that, okay, I want to do it as they modify the place, then the cost you would add it to, or you would use it as
added rent.
Added rent. So if I'm supposed to stay for 12 months, it's going to be like 13 months or 14 months, depending on the cost I've incurred.
Yeah, so that's the written consent that has to come from the landlord. If at that point he decides, no, I won't allow you, you have no right to do it.
Wow.
But if you come into an agreement that no, you can do it, bring the receipt, let's ascertain how much cost has gone to it, we'll add it or I'll pay you. That's the fair agreement between the two of them.
There's a gray area in there, and I'm sure it's one of the issues that you have been dealing with. Just give us an idea how you deal with it. The difficulty here is that what if the time I occupied the premise, something was deteriorating, say the water closet, and the moment I used it, it broke, and I have to fix it. The difficulty is to prove whether it was deteriorating before I assumed the place or not. How do you deal with such matters?
So the first instance is that before you move in, we call this due diligence.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes very difficult, as you mentioned. Probably if an old woman wants to die and you push the person, it's you who have committed the murder. At the end of the day, you have to do your due diligence. Do thorough inspection before you move in. Okay? So at the end of the day, if you move in a day or two and it has spoiled, then we assume if it's internal, then we assume it's you. Because you probably you've not done your due diligence. Okay, so that is the key word. The underlying word is
you need to take inventory of what exists. But how will I know, say WC for example, how would I know that WC? It's not like a car that I can go with a mechanic to go and check.
No, by the end of the day, those things are basic. When you go, you make sure water is flowing, you flush it at once and see whether it's okay. So there's some basic due diligence you need to do. If you don't have that expertise, that's what you are saying. You go in there with somebody who has the second eye.
We'll come to the issue of the agents too.
But Philip, your namesake from Kwabenya is asking, renters, and here I'm sure you mean landlords allowed to charge in dollars. I think that's been dealt with by the BOG. The BOG has issued a directive on that. But you continue to say, if you report them, they try to evict you from the house. Is that legal? If not, what can you do about it?
Okay, so under Section 17, I spelled out what the landlord can stand on to evict a tenant, together with Section 25, which is the offenses under the Act. If reporting a landlord, of course, it's not part of the laydown, then we insist that you stay until the end of your tenancy. So that's where the inducements comes in. A landlord might understand that inducement comes with a punishment. If you induce a landlord to vacate from the premises and you are reported, you may be fined or in prison.
Right. This one is asking if it is lawful to take a 2-year advance. That's also you've dealt with. You just explained. You can't go beyond the 6 months. Hopefully the law is amended, and then both the one offering and the one demanding. Exactly. Right. This one, Kukua from Kaswa says, "Hi, please ask if it is lawful to increase rent without advance notice."
Okay. So increasing of rent comes after 2 years.
Okay.
That's what the law says.
So after 2 years, you can increase.
After 2 years,
okay.
you can increase. But within the 2 years, I cited an example with carpet and then tiles.
Exactly.
Or even including washroom in the premises. At that point, you see the landlord has improved the property before or after you've came in. So at that point, the law does not give the landlord to wait after 2 years. In that instance, there can be that negotiation that I've improved it from one state to the other. You will now be paying this. Then you negotiate. When you negotiate, the landlord is expected to give you 1 month clear notice. So as we are in August now, the whole of September should pass. So if there's any payment, it should take effect from October. So the law is specific or very clear on that.
So at least you need a month notice.
A 1 month clear notice before the next payment should take effect.
All right, more messages.
Yeah, a lot of messages. Good morning, sir. What is the needful if someone gives you money for a room for renovation and later he says he doesn't want the place again because the renovation I promised is not what I did, so he demands his money?
Yes, so that's where the compensation comes in. Now you've used my money to improve. I'm not staying up to what we've agreed on. So you look at how much I've given you, how much we've invested in. We look at the commercial bank interest rate, add it to it, and then you give it to him or her, then the person will.
What's the idea behind putting the interest rates on some of these things?
No, yeah, we just... for a normal thing, let's assume the person has gone for a loan to come and give it to you. Even if you're not a loan, and that money you invest in somebody is investing an investment, he's expected to get some interest on it. So the way the landlord will not feel that, no, the 1 CD you brought to me, I have to give you that one. If we do that, or if the law says that if that goes on, a lot of landlords will be I don't know what word to use.
Someone's asking a question. Prince from Elembele says that why should the landlord keep the items? Why can't rent control keep the items?
No, so it's a process. Just as I said, the first 14 days is a notice. The second 14 days is for us to then be negotiating or discussing with the magistrate. Okay. Then whatever the magistrate will decide, then we'll come for it. So it's not that it will be there forever. The period for you keeping the thing is just for 14 days. And after 14 days, the magistrate will decide what to do with the item.
Okay, so this one says, good morning, please. Can I ask if the landlord has to come to rent control office before he or she can rent out?
Yes. So the issue there is that when the person comes as a tenant, when you come and inspect the place and then you agree that I want to do the place, before you pay money to the landlord, there should be this tenancy agreement. That tenancy agreement must be read by you, the tenant, and understand and sign.
Okay.
After signing, the landlord is expected to deposit a copy at the rent control department. The idea or the notion there is that we need to go through and make sure that you are not going to infringe on somebody's human rights. And you are going to, you've been guided by our rules, be our constitution, the Rent Act, or the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Make sure you are not going to infringe on anybody's human rights. And we also look at whether you have opted to pay for the more than the 6 months, or the landlord is the one who is demanding. So this process will make sure that we are aware of their relationship. When we approve it, then the landlord is then given the go-ahead to go and collect the rent advance from the tenant.
And then there's a message. It said, good morning. Now some landlords are mean like mine who increase rent 1 week to the expire to your expiration or whenever your rent will expire.
So 1 week to the expiration of the existing rent, they increase the rent.
This one says that these landlords are maltreating us. Please ask Mr. Kusu whether a tenant has the right to take the remaining of rent paid because I haven't utilized the number of years or months I intended. Let me just jump on to the next one. My tenant, this is from a landlord, my tenant has been in debt of a light bill almost to the tune of his rent. He has now been jailed for wrongdoing. I paid the light bills and requested that his family moves his items from his for my house, but he refused. What do I do now since he's spending 2 years in jail? This is from Sir Noah Edum Chrome Equiapim.
Okay, so this should follow the abscondant process.
Right.
Though we know the person, the law is engaged. At the end of the day, a representative of a family member of the castrated person should represent the person if there is any legal process. But apart from that, it needs to pass through the abscondant process so that we can have these things out of the premises.
A lot of messages.
A lot of messages are coming in.
We need a lot of time. But let me ask you this thing.
Yeah.
How many months what's the period for notifying a tenant that you know, I don't need you in the house anymore.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to rent the apartment to you anymore, and you would have to leave as soon as your rent is expired.
Okay, so this should come into the tenancy agreement. It's at the end of the day, it should be the agreement. But if it's not there, the law states that it should be 0. 0 means you know the end of your tenancy. Before the end of your tenancy, if you don't want to reside at the premises again, you start preparing. Or you, the landlord, if you don't want to renew the tenancy, you give a notice within the period. It shouldn't be that after the end of your tenancy, before you give, maybe you didn't ask your question well. People think there should be a 3 months period for me to go and look for a place. That's why I said it's 0. 0 means at the end of your tenancy, you should move out.
Move out.
And then that notion, exactly, which means you should start preparing before the end of your tenancy.
Yeah.
And that notion that period should be free. There's no free rent in the country. So if you are lucky and the landlord gives you a period to look for a place, you are made to pay it. The law mandates you to pay for the period. So there's no 3 months free. And there's no 3 months grace period.
Right.
At the end of the day, you have to agree. If you insert it in your tenancy agreement, then that's fine. It's bind on you.
Interesting. A final one before we let you go. Does the tenant deserve or have a right to, let's say, first buy if the landlord decides to sell the property? Or if there's going to be an increase in the landlord has a higher offer, does the tenant have a right within the law to be given the opportunity to meet the new rent or even to buy the property when it's up for sale? Okay,
so when it comes to sales of property, it's out of our duration.
Right.
But it's similar to rentals. Rental means when I'm in a place and there's the need to do a thorough renovation, the law requires that I should be the first option.
Okay.
When after the renovation to come and draw the place again. So that's what the law says. I'll just chip in with the Real Estate Agency Act. We deal with the agents and brokers. Okay, but we may come maybe another time.
Sure.
Because it's a very huge area that we need to discuss.
Is there a format for the tenancy agreement?
We have a sample. Okay. Basically, what has to be there is your details as a landlord, the details of the tenant, your right and responsibilities being a landlord, because you all have right and responsibility in the house. You need to get witnesses. You need to state the commencement date and then the end date, the amount you are paying and how frequently or the means how you will be paying it. So these are basic things. But as I said, it varies from property to property. You can include a lot of things that will suit the two of you. But there is a basic one. We have samples in our offices. Any landlord which has the responsibility to draft the tenancy agreement, you can visit us, we'll give you a sample, or just visit any lawyer who can help you to draft the tenancy agreement.
Mr. Kwasu, thank you so much. This has been very informative, very educative. But just a quick one. Do landlords have to register their properties with rent control?
No, we call it vacant premises register.
Okay.
But because of the housing deficit, we've seen that before the landlord even tried to move from his house, there are about 10 people looking for the same property. So how then will he dodge or forget about those things and come to our office to come and register the same property? Then we will now look for another, or people roaming about looking for property to come. At the instant, immediately in front of us, he has people to take the property already. So we have, it's part of our duties to register those vacant premises. But those ones, we cannot move into the property. This is the landlord who has to come and register.
Right.
But because of the housing deficit, we have zero.
I've really learned a
Zero,
lot. And
yeah.
we said
Exactly.
we talking
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
agent. This is a
The
quick one.
agents, that's the final
Good,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
good morning. In some landlords, the room is available, but they would tell you to go and come back with an agent. Meanwhile, the agent is going to take back 10%. So it seems like they have plans with the agent. With that, what are you doing about this agent matter?
Okay, so in 2020, there's this law which was passed, which is the Real Estate Agency Act. Currently, there is a council who is to administer and make sure to implement this. What is in there is that they are going to manage and control whoever calls him or herself agent or broker. And in that sense, they will be training anybody who calls himself agent or broker, issue license and certificate. And then they will be doing inspection of your offices, okay, as well as coming out with fees and charges, so that this 10% left and right will be a thing of the past.
Wow.
And then, currently the Rent Act stipulates 5% of the services you've rendered.
Okay.
But with the passing of this law, the Real Estate Agency Act, the council is to come out with the fees and charges, and then this moving phase will also be passed, because they will determine how much you have to pay. Okay, so those Goro boys will be faced off.
Side viewing.
Mr. Bosu, thank you so much.
Yeah,
We're grateful. We'll find time to do this, because
That's
it looks
fine.
like there's a lot
A lot
of
to discuss.
information and a lot to
That's
discuss in there. But thank you so much. This has been very, very
I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
informative.
Yeah.
Right. Emmanuel Hove Kosu is the head of PR and the senior rent officer of the Rent Control Department. So much to learn. We'll do this again, definitely, because all your questions are coming in, so many of them. We couldn't digest all. We'll find time to do this again. But of course, keep sending your questions in so we can table them. When we find time to get him again, then we'll put them before him. This is Breakfast Daily. Stay with us. We'll be right back.